So the intent was to add this border here, but I can't get it to work. So we'll go ahead and add some dimensions. What I'm going to do is show you how I got the dimensions that seem to mess the people up the most. So I'll repeat these 4 dimensions here, and then I'll talk about doing the general notes. Alright, so if I were going to do this, I probably should have just opened this from scratch. Now, if it were me, first thing you always want to do is go to the layers and make sure you're under the annotation layer. In this one, they didn't create an annotation layer. There was a dimension, text, and title. We really should be deleting text and title and changing dimension to say annotation. That would cover all 3, so I don't have to keep swapping back and forth. So this note's here is supposed to be in the title, and the dimensions are supposed to be on this one. And then if I put a label for this view, that's supposed to be on a different layer. And that's just too much headache. In production, they would just have an annotation layer. All right. So if it were me, if I were going to dimension this part, I would start under the annotate and I would go to radius first. You can hit this down arrow and insert it using that radius feature. If you just leave it there, it tells you select the edge and then select where you want the radius value to be located. So I'll select the radius, grab the edge of this circle, put it over here. Notice it put that crosshair in there for me automatically. I'm going to go ahead and do a diameter. So use diameter, and again on this one it tells you to select the edge of the circle and then locate where you want the call out. So I select the diameter, grab the edge, come over here, and it puts that markup in already. Now if I do this one over here, grab this edge, select diameter, grab this edge, come over here, I could put in my dimension. So the down arrow, I could use the linear dimension, and I make sure wait to say it says endpoint, and then make sure it says endpoint over here. So I got a 3-inch dimension. The most important part is there must be a gap from that markup line to here. Now you'll notice the directions say that this is a 2-place call out. So if you look at your directions, this is 2 places, so I don't actually need this one. So I'm going to click on this and delete that. And I got to redo this dimension here. So we would do a center mark and center mark this. But when I go to dimension and I do this dimension here to here, it's crooked because for some reason their markup isn't the same size as this markup. So it kind of screws that whole thing up. So in order to get around that, it's even bigger headache. What I got to do here is got to hit escape and then do this rigor mortis here, go back to full size. And then I got to go back to full size over here. Come on. I've got to get rid of this markup. So you're going to click here, right click, and go to properties. Under properties, hopefully you remember that it was the center mark line that has to go off to none. So I close that off, and then I will use center mark and grab this edge of that circle. So when I go back to linear dimensions and I grab the end of that, make sure it says end before I click, make sure it says end before I click, and drag that out, it'll be 3 inches. Okay, so that's how you got to get that in. The other one that's a problem for people is the radius dimension. Grab this edge of the radius, come out here. It has this arc I need to go away and this crosshair I need to go away. So I just did that earlier. I click on this, right click and go to properties. and go to center mark and turn that off, and that's going to be none. It still has that arc there, so what you have to do is scroll down this list and turn off the extension line. So the extension line right here, that needs to be set to off. And then you have to grab this and move this back. Oh shoot. I'm going to close this to get rid of it. I'm going to select this dimension, select on that blue dot, and drag it up over here. It's showing the old location, and when I let go and click a spot, this will be the new location. Okay, so those are the most common problem childs of putting in the dimensions. I'll show you how to do the general note next.